One of the subjects CannaMoms most frequently receives questions on is dosing cannabis oil for children. Unlike pharmaceutical medications, no deaths have ever been reported in the thousands of years that cannabis has been used as a medicine. However, as parents of critically ill children, we struggle with trying to save our child's life while maintaining their quality of life at the same time. So the main goal here is simply to offset negative side effects, anxiety, and discomfort which can be associated with the only psychoactive cannabinoid found in cannabis, THC. In order to do this, it is recommended to start slowly and taper up in order to allow for a tolerance to be built and maintained. Most readily available dosing recommendations use dose sizes descriptions of the tip of a pin or a rice grain size, making it impossible to determine the exact amount of cannabinoids, or in this case, the exact amount of a single cannabinoid, THC, in each dose. I have received personal recommendations of a starting and tapering dose of 5 milligrams of THC per dose. So in this video, I will explain how to infuse an oil to obtain the desired 5 milligrams of THC per dose. Since medicine is generally dosed in milliliters, but cannabis oil is generally measured in grams, grams and milliliters will be used interchangeably in this video. First, you're going to determine how much THC you have. Take your test results and locate the percentage of THC in your oil. The amount of oil is generally referenced in grams, and the amount of THC is generally referenced in milligrams. Although this isn't an exact science, 0.9 mLs of a thicker liquid is probably closer to a gram, but for the sake of simplicity, we are using grams and mLs interchangeably in this video. 1 gram will be equal to 1 ml. If you have an oil that is 63% THC, you have 630 milligrams of THC per 1 gram of oil. If you have 10 grams of oil, you have a total of 6,300 milligrams of THC. Divide your total milligrams of THC by 5, and this will give you the total amount of oil needed to obtain 5 milligrams of THC per 1 ml of oil. In this example, 6,300 milligrams of THC divided by 5 is 1,260. I'll deduct the 10 grams of cannabis oil that I have, leaving me with a total of 1,250. And this is the amount of oil needed to infuse the cannabis oil into. There are many options for infusion oils, and in this particular demonstration, I'm using coconut oil. Hi, I'm Mariah, and I'm going to show you how I mix my oils to dose the recommended 5 milligrams of THC per dose of medicine, particularly in pediatric care, and how I would make an oil that would make it easy to up that every 4 days as recommended by the 5 milligrams of THC per dose. So I recommend the Magical Butter Machine mostly because one of the biggest problems with in-home care and taking responsibility for the health that we create here at home is being able to duplicate successes and being able to avoid repeat failures. So with this machine, being able to utilize an exact temperature and exact time settings, for me, I've heard it referred to as a glorified crock pot. But in reality, when you're trying to make something that's medicinal at home, it's very important to know your temperatures, in my opinion, and to get a consistent product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 4 oils that I have, and I know the exact amounts of THC in each oil because I've had them tested, which I strongly recommend you always do that, whether you're making the oil at home or you're buying the oil, to know what your THC, CBD, cannabinoid profile content, and in this particular batch of oils, altogether I have 2,295 milligrams of THC. That way, when I'm mixing it with a very particular amount of additional oil, I know exactly per ml that I'm dosing how many milligrams of THC are in that. So while most professionals, including my personal correspondence with Dr. Mashulam, says to start a child at 5 milligrams of THC per dose, I would do that 3 times a day for 4 days, and then after 4 days, I would go up by an additional 5 milligrams of THC per dose, and I would continue doing that. And in that way, in a little over a month, I can get 40 grams of oil into Dahlia. So diagnosed with cancer at 3 years old, you'd like to get as much oil into them as possible, but you'd also like to avoid any negative side effects. And I think that this tapering up is a very good idea, especially in pediatric care, but also with adults who don't like the side effects of THC. So what I'm going to do is mix 414 mLs of organic coconut oil with 40 mLs of cannabis oil. So with that total of 454 mLs, then I know that I have 5 milligrams of THC in every ml that I dose of this mixed oil. So I'm simply going to put all of this oil together into the magical butter machine. As you know, coconut oil pretty much liquefies at room temperature, so that's not very hard. And the cannabis oil is obviously a little thicker. And with all of the oil in now, I'm just going to place the top on. I'm going to plug the machine in. And this machine, as I've already said, makes making your own medicine at home very easy. I'm going to choose temperature, the lowest setting, 160 degrees. I'm going to put it on for 1 hour. And the machine does all of the work itself, so you just let that sit. It'll stir it and mix it for you. When I'm done, I'm going to pour the liquefied oil into a bowl, and I'm going to pull it up into syringes. I'm going to pull it up in increments of 1 ml at 3 times a day for 4 days. So I'll have 12 syringes of 1 ml. And then I'm going to have 12 syringes of 2 mLs, 12 syringes of 3 mLs. And because it's 5 milligrams of THC per ml of oil, I'm just going to continue to pull up in increments an addition of 1 for each 12. Based on that, you want to stay at the same dose for approximately 4 days to gain tolerance before you up the dose by 5 milligrams of THC per dose. Alright, so our machine is done, and some people might prefer to let it sit and cool off for a while. I have already sectioned off my 1, 3, and 5, and 10 ml syringes in 2 bags filled with 12 of each syringe, marked for the 1 mLs, the 2 mLs, 3 mLs, and so on. It just makes it easier to be a little organized ahead of time, so when you start dosing out the oil, you already kind of know what you're doing. I'm going to unplug the machine, take the lid off, pour our oil into a bowl. As you can see here, it's pretty well liquefied. And I'm just going to start drawing into syringes. As I stated previously, 12 of each. As always, all information contained in our videos, on our website, or in any correspondence from or pertaining to CannaMoms is based solely on personal recommendations, opinions, and experiences. No information obtained from CannaMoms should ever be perceived as medical advice. We are not doctors, we are CannaMoms. And additionally, if the full 5 milligrams of THC upping of the dose after 4 days is too much.
What?